Hey, Chris here, and in today's video we're going to be looking at Hubspot versus Marketo. Now, I'll warn you at the outset that this isn't a feature-function comparison as such, but I will still be making my recommendations by the end of this video. The problem that I have with these feature-function comparisons is that they get dated really fast, with the vendors kind of leapfrogging each other all the time. So what does make sense for a more solid comparison is to take it based on the approach that each of these vendors are taking to marketing automation. So I'll base it on that. There are areas that Marketo shines and there are areas in which Hubspot shines. Two critical areas where I think Marketo wins hands down is with lead lifecycle management and the multi-touch attribution. Marketo, at least to me, has the more robust lead lifecycle management. If you're a medium or large organization consisting of multiple SDRs and account managers, and you've got a complex sales cycle, it's really hard to beat that sophistication that Marketo offers in this area, including the very strong tie-in to Salesforce. Of course, you have to question if you need this sophisticated lead lifecycle management. I'm not saying it's essential, but it definitely has the edge over HubSpot. On the attribution front, Marketo is also better than HubSpot on tracking all the touches that a deal goes through and attributing the marketing influence on that deal. HubSpot largely skews towards kind of a first touch attribution model. Now, switching to areas where HubSpot shines over Marketo. The workflow system that HubSpot implemented is really powerful. In fact, often when you find a feature lacking in HubSpot, you can often implement it yourself through this workflow mechanism. Now, I should mention though that Marketo has some great predefined workflows, such as the workflow for managing a webinar sequence, but it's not very flexible and you don't have that graphical ability to edit it as you do with HubSpot. So for overall workflow flexibility, the point goes to HubSpot. The big area that HubSpot shines is ease of use and hence the very important lower total cost of ownership. Whether you're trying to create a nice looking email or a landing page, HubSpot makes it really easy. With Marketo, I found I always need to get into HTML or really fighting some rigid templates. So generally I'd say that with Marketo, you start realizing the need for a full-time Marketo administrator, especially as compared to HubSpot. When it comes to reporting and analytics, you have to give the advantage to Marketo. This includes the multi-touch attribution that we discussed earlier, but also being able to do analytics and measure your campaign effectiveness and more. I give the edge to Marketo in this regard. Which comes down to the big question, which one is better for you? Obviously, there's no blanket rule of thumb here, and what I'm about to suggest is meant to be in the spirit of being pragmatic and giving you something actionable. Of course, everyone's situation is different, but consider this food for thought. In my opinion, if you're a startup or a smaller organization, say up to about the $50 million revenue mark, I'd have a very strong bias to selecting HubSpot. At that stage of your organization, the less time you spend on marketing systems or marketing automation systems, the better. With the pricing being roughly the same for the two, HubSpot is just simply easier to use and it's going to lower your cost of ownership. Now, contrast that when you start exceeding that $50 million mark or you have very complex sales cycles, you will probably benefit from the sophistication that Marketo offers, including the reporting. Now, I get it. This is a less than perfect decision point to use revenue as the criteria, but think of it as a guideline. Clearly, you're going to need to look at both products, your environment, your team skills, the complexity of your sales cycle, and make an informed decision. But by and large, you can consider that my guideline as to which one you select. So, until next time, be unconventional.